Very welcome back to 12 Rants of Christmas. I'm Jay Leggett, and today I want to talk about people who are constantly late. AKA, not really, it's fine. I actually love it when you just regularly take chunks out of my limited time in this earth away from me. Don't worry about it, you're grand. I am a super punctual guy. If you tell me we're meeting at 8 p.m. at the place, you better fucking believe I'm gonna be at the place for 8 p.m. Usually I'll even arrive a few minutes early and buy myself a little treat for being a good boy who respects my friends' time. I'll have a little peaceful smoke and get some podcast time, just chilling out. And unless our plans are time bound, I'll send a nice little text on top of it being like, hey, I'm here early, but take your time, don't rush, you're grand. But for the record, I do want it to be clear, and I think the people that I'd send these messages to would know this about me. As indicated by the title of this show, that's a lie. Like, by all means, take your time. But what I mean by take your time is don't feel pressured to be here as early as me, but still very much do be at the place for 8 p.m. unless someone dies. Thank you. And look, come here. I'm not actually a miserable cunt. I get that shit happens every now and then, and if they text me being like, hey, I'm about 20 minutes out, so I mightn't be at the place until 5 past, we're genuinely totally cool. Seriously, I'm not messing there. Again, unless we're going to a gig or a match or whatever that starts at a time and we're risking missing that, you've let me know what the new ETA is, and I don't need you to be exactly on time. That's grand. I can plan around having notice as well. I'm not here to pick a fight with considerate souls who legitimately have something delay them. That happens to literally every single one of us at some point. Well, I say every single one. It doesn't happen to me, so like that kind of proves that it's possible to effectively plan. But still, it's fine. It's totally fine. Don't you worry about it. I'm here instead to take issue with that person who is perpetually 5 minutes away, but you fucking know they're not 5 minutes away, and they probably even haven't left their fucking house yet. They're probably giving themselves a little treat for being such a fucking cunt, like. Well, lads, I hope one day your little treat has a rat piss on it, because being constantly late really fucks me off, as I think you can tell. Late people may say, oh look, I'm not prepared to be at the place at the certain time. But you know what they do come prepared with? Do you know what they fucking do? Always have prepared. For these people who can't prepare for things, you know what they have prepared? Fucking excuses. They have fucking excuses prepared. They come ready and armed for these fights. Like, push back hard if they're ever being called out. So if you check the top comments right now, you'll probably see these people who are like, I'm just so chill. I'm just so chill. I'm just so chill. Probably arguing with the excuses that they give to people whenever they're constantly late. And one term you probably see thrown around in the comments and the likes, and when you have these discussions with people, is a new term that we've learned called time blindness. For those who've never heard of it, here's a definition from healthline.com and what exactly time blindness is. And I'll also put a link in the show notes for anyone who may hear this and have some realizations about themselves and want a bit more info. Time blindness isn't a formal medical diagnosis, says Healthline.com, but rather a term used to describe difficulties you have in accurately perceiving and managing time. People with time blindness may have difficulties with tasks relating to time, such as estimating how long an activity will take, sticking to schedules, and recognizing when it's appropriate to start or finish tasks. Time blindness is often associated with conditions such as ADHD and autism spectrum disorder, ASD. And look, as someone who is as good as confirmed ASD myself, I'm not here to question the validity of time blindness. I know for a fact that it is a thing, and personally know 7 people. I don't know exactly 7 people. I do know several people who've dealt with it at some stage in their lives, whether they were dealing with it or not. I was able to see, yeah, they've got time blindness. And you know them too. They're the people in your friend group who are so consistently late that you tell them to be at the place an hour before you'll be at the place, so you'll actually arrive around the same time. And if you don't know that person, you probably are that person. We just don't tell you you're that person, because if you ever learn that we're not going to be there an hour early, you will just be an hour late. That is just the way it is, and we've all learned to manage because you're not doing so. So this is legit and I'm not coming for you if you deal with this. Just as my ASD is actually probably what makes me obsessive about being punctual, their ASD makes exactly that a struggle for them, and nobody can claim their issues are more valid than others. At the same time, though, you also just can't handwave spending your entire life inconveniencing literally every person you know because you struggle to deal with something that may be symptomatic of a larger medical diagnosis but isn't actually in itself a formal and recognized medical condition. And there's one single word that makes the difference. That means that I can know and still be close with several people who I know struggle with time blindness and understand where they're coming from, while also at the same time holding the opinion that people who are constantly late are absolute dickheads. And that word is communication. There should be understanding, empathy, and compassion for people who deal with time blindness. But empathy works two ways, and you can't expect empathy from the entire planet while also acting however the fuck you like and dishing none of it out yourself. People who suffer from time blindness tend to know that they do on some level, even if you just learned there was actually a name for it a few minutes ago in this video. And it may be just as frustrating and stressful for them to be late as it is for those who are left waiting for them, because they know and they understand and they feel pressure by being late for someone else. Why it can be frustrating is because they realize they're not going to be there on time, and it's at this point they make a decision. Do they go, do I cop to it and put my hands up, or do I do the old 5 minutes away bullshit that will instantly be proven wrong as soon as I arrive and it's not 5 minutes later, and just expect the other person to just fucking deal with it and not call me on the fact that I knowingly just lied to their face? And what gets me pissed off when people actively lie to you isn't just the inconvenience. So let's take a beat there for a second, because it is fucking inconvenient. If I know you're going to be late, how long you'll be, or even how far away you'll be, and I'll do the maths, I can make a decision on what to do with myself in the meantime. I can go to the pub for a quick pint, or I can go to a cafe for a coffee and a sambo while I wait for you. But if I don't know, or you lie, you actually take my own agency in my life away from me and force me to just put my entire life on hold because you can't front up and admit that you're running late. If I'm waiting outside for someone at a random meeting spot that we picked, what if it's raining or cold? If I'm waiting in a pub, what if it's busy and I start getting stink eye from people for taking up a seat or a booth? And I'm like, oh, my friend's going to be here in 10 minutes, but then 10 minutes arrive and you're still not there, and now I look like a prick who's just keeping an entire table for myself. If it's a busy restaurant, I have to just fob off a waiter who themselves might be under pressure to turn around tables on time if it's a busy night. I could order a starter, or I could even order your meal for you so it's potentially there for you when you get there. But no, because you can't just say, I checked Google Maps and it says I'm 30 minutes away, now I've got to be hungry here and look like I've been stood up for a date. Brilliant. Love that for me. On top of the actual inconvenience though, it's just so fucking selfish. It sends the message, what I do with my time is important and I don't respect yours. It's genuinely something that would make me consider a friendship, and it is something that I've ended past relationships over. I'll never forget how years ago I was with a girl for a while who was constantly late, and it wound me and wound me up. But at that time I was in my 20s and just thought, oh, this is just one of their things, you have to put up with it, it's fine. For her part, she had a bit of a princess syndrome, and I know this more looking back now, and she saw her lateness as kind of a cute or endearing little ism she has, which I think spoke to how many people in her life had just indulged her before she met me. The final straw was when we were going out for a big meal together. It was a special occasion, I can't remember, so it was maybe like Valentine's or an anniversary or something like that. Anyway, there was a reason why we were going for a meal. I was due to meet her at the Spire on O'Connell Street. For anyone outside of Ireland, it's literally just a giant metal erection we built in the middle of Dublin City when we were all rich in the 90s and just threw money at things for no particular reason. Of course, I was there at the time, we said we would be there, and she started giving me the 5 minutes lie. So every 5 minutes, she then got a reminder that 5 minutes had passed and she wasn't there. And she started doing the whole reaction that drove me up the wall, as if she was being a little bit mischievous and flirty by just willfully wasting my life. At one point she turns around and was like, Don't worry, there's a good reason that I'm late. I've got a little special surprise that you'll see when I get there. An hour later. She was legitimately an hour late. I had to call the restaurant throughout this hour multiple times to just punt on the reservations, as well as just standing there at the Spire for 60 full minutes wondering what the fuck I saw in this person anyway. When she did eventually get there, guess what her special surprise was? Have a guess. Have a guess there, listening at home. What do you think the special surprise was? Was she wearing like sexy lingerie that I could later see? Ooh, so sexy. Or was it a cute, meaningful gift that she'd handcrafted and she just had to wait for the paint to dry? And I don't know why I'm picturing a little wooden airplane she's made. I don't even particularly care about airplanes, but that's what I have in my mind. Or was it anything at all that I might give a shit about? Nope. Wasn't. She dyed her hair. And like, when I say dyed her hair, okay, it wasn't a new color. She had just re-dyed her hair the same color as it had been previously, but topped it up so it was a slightly darker shade than it had been the last time I'd seen her, but like still the same shade I'd seen beforehand when she'd last dyed it. We were not together long after that. No, that was pretty much the end of it. And that was when I was in my 20s, when I was a nicer person and less assertive than I am today. And I just silently fume while being like, no, it's fine, don't worry about it, no, it's grand. Today, in my mid-30s, and I am in my mid-30s, 37 is mid, guys, I'm in my mid-30s. If that happened to me and they showed such low respect for my time and such shit communication skills, she'd arrive to the Spire to me just not being there, and she'd never see my WhatsApp profiler again because she'd be fucking blocked. I wouldn't have gone home, but what I would have done is have gone to a pub and sat in the window of the pub to watch her moment of realization of all this and prayed that the message all landed so I could really get my money's worth out of the reaction. What you'll hear a lot though from people who are really quick to play the time blindness card is about poor time estimation. And look, that is true. Again, if you read the article that I've linked in the show notes, you'll see that that is something they can struggle to underestimate or overestimate the amount of time needed to complete certain activities or how long it may take to arrive at places and so on and so forth. Again, totally appreciate this, and I'm not questioning it in any way. Again, I know this is a thing for a fact. If this was kind of the 90s or the early noughties and mobile phones were either not out publicly yet or much more rare, or even the ones we did have weren't good for anything beyond basic tasks and playing Snake, then I'd kind of get it. Back then, we just kind of have to suck it up for our late friends and do the whole make plans an hour early deal with the people we knew would be late. Not today, though. That's not a thing anymore. There are so many simple steps that you can make when you have literally all of the information publicly known to mankind on a device that fits in your pocket. Type "how long does it take to" into Google sometimes and look at the suggested replies. You can get the answers to literally everything from boiling an egg to traveling to the fucking moon. And like, I've gone out with other people aside from the aforementioned ex who dealt with time blindness and never had a single issue with them, because unlike her, they didn't see their lateness as this kind of airy fairy, fast and loose, cutesy, endearing quality because their parents had never taught them that they could be fucking wrong as a child. They actually had a bit of consideration and realized there was another person on the other side of their challenge too, and took steps to address that. For example, and this is stuff you can do if this is something you suffer from. Do you struggle to estimate how long it'll take to get somewhere, even using a sat nav, because you can either forget about potential traffic or other potential delays? Simple, easy answer. Share your location on WhatsApp for even just the time you're going to be there. I'm not like a location checker because I'm not a psychopath. Like, you can share for an hour and you don't need to figure out how long, because I know I can see, and then like if I overestimate or underestimate, that's on me. So you're putting the problem back onto me instead. As I said earlier, I'm always punctual, but if I'm meeting someone with any kind of travel involved, I'll also drop a pin for them in return. So, out of common courtesy, so they don't feel like it always has to be them because they're regularly late. And it just becomes a thing we do in the friendship or relationship. If you've got like a long list of things to do before you can leave and you don't know how that'll take because that's something you struggle with, just be honest and transparent in giving the other person a basic idea of what you've got left to do. People who are better with time, like me, can just make their own estimation and plan around that. So they're like, right, grand, they're probably going to be an hour doing all of that, and then it takes an hour to get here. So they're 2 hours. I can watch a fucking movie in 2 hours. I can watch a few episodes of a TV show. I can do whatever I need to do in 2 hours, but I know I have 2 hours back, and that's actually a benefit. Then we're fucking golden. Where you become a dick that I speak about in the title of this show is when you are presented with all of these opportunities and you still choose to prioritize your time over taking a few seconds to consider someone else's. This is not about time blindness or ASD. It's not about something you legitimately struggle with. It is about disrespecting other people and making a conscious decision to constantly prioritize yourself at their expense. And when you find yourself then being left out of plans or your friendship or relationship running out of time, you should have paid more attention when you were actually on the clock. That's been the 12 Rants of Christmas for today. I'm Jerry Leggett and I'll be back tomorrow to discuss some of my least favorite movie opinions. Check it out, guys. I'll chat to you then.